So some other ways, I'm conscious of the time. I've got here like simple things, I guess, we can do every day. Celebrate with all your heart the achievement of others. So when someone else does achieve something, be happy for them, like celebrate that. If you can't do it automatically, talk yourself into it, thinking, oh, they worked really hard for it. It's really, they really deserve that. Or maybe this is what they needed in their life right now. This is fantastic. So celebrating others' achievements is really important. Second one, when something difficult needs to be done, put your hand up for it. Because remember, the ego wants to be comfortable, it's selfish. So put yourself in difficult situations where, say you're in a gathering and someone says, oh, can someone empty out the bin? If you really want to purify your ego, put your hand up and say, I'll do it. And you take out the bin. If someone needs to be mopped, mop that place. Because the ego doesn't like that. Ego wants to be pampered, put up a high. So you're basically, it's a very powerful way of purifying the ego. And it's a practice that a lot of even historically saints and scholars would do. They would, for example, give talks and sermons during the day, and then they would clean public toilets in the evenings as a way to humble themselves. It's up to you if you want to try that. When you achieve something great, acknowledge to yourself and others the contribution of others. So again, you are going to achieve good things, inshallah, in your life, but acknowledge, that you couldn't, a lot of things you can't do on your own. Either acknowledge your family or your parents or your colleagues, knowing that it's a lot of the time what we achieve is teamwork, but also, and that leads to gratitude. When you do something wrong, own it and apologize. Ego doesn't like to apologize. So, and we make mistakes. We all make mistakes. So when you do something wrong, be willing to apologize for it. Sometimes it's one-on-one. Sometimes it's got to be done in a group. Sometimes it's got to be done on social media, like it's a public space, but we should be able to apologize when we do something wrong. It might be hard, but we need to push ourselves. If you don't know something, say, I don't know. So again, it's humbling and it's the reality. Undertake acts which you see above yourself. Like I said, I guess that's similar to what I mentioned before about cleaning or mopping or taking out the rubbish, or rather than thinking I'm at this status, therefore I shouldn't be doing that. Empathizing, that's really powerful too, because when you empathize with people, it puts the ego aside. You're able to see things from their perspective, and that usually generates compassion. Remember your shortfalls without being too hard on yourself. So being aware of your shortfalls, your weaknesses. We're living in a society where we're always told to sell ourselves. Even when we go for a job interview, we're told to sell ourselves, but we need to remind ourselves of our shortfalls too. But don't be too hard on yourself, because you don't want low self-esteem issues. Don't give in to everything your body wants. This is self-discipline. Set goals to overcome addictions. This could be food addictions as well, like coffee, chocolate, or something like that. Discipline is very important, and the ego doesn't like it. So that brings us to the end. Hopefully there's things in there that you all can take away and implement.
Thank you very much, Dr. Keskin. Very fruitful information. Lots of insights and tips. I actually didn't know this before.
I hope it transforms your life.
Yes, absolutely. I always thought that the huge, one of the biggest issue in the world is the arrogance, but I think also the ego, also another big problem that we have to work on ourselves.
I would say arrogance is an expression, one expression of the ego, but only one. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's amazing. Well, we still have a few minutes if anyone has questions, but before that, I would like to tell you that Dr. Keskin has a book written about attaining inner peace in Islam. It's very interesting. The website is here shared in the chat, springer.com. If you guys are interested, please feel free. Dr. Keskin, thank you very much. Any questions?
I have a question, if nobody has. Thank you so much again. So my spiritual side of me is week. So it's like a testifying myself. But so muhasaba, muraqaba, those, especially muraqaba is it's kind of hard. But like, brother is watching. In America, they're saying a big brother is watching, right? Big brother is watching. So especially, I'm living in the United States for 15 years, and bragging is not a bad thing in this culture. And if you are in academia, self-promotion is a thing. I mean, you should do self-promotion. Definitely. Okay, I am Muslim, and either because of our culture or either because of our religion, we are almost every time we are using astaghfirullah, right? Maybe sometimes we don't know the meanings, but we are using astaghfirullah, like being humble, right? Being humble. Yeah, like, so what do you suggest, since we live in a place we don't have so much symbol around us? We are minority, we are people of color. At the same time, we are religious minority in Utah, in the United States. Our kids, us as well, we can't hear any azan in outside, or especially me. I live in 1.5 away from the Turkish community there in Salt Lake City. I am in Logan. Sometimes you feel that everything is going well, but you thought that way, but in a while you realize that, oh my gosh, something is going wrong. But I want to ask your opinion and your suggestion on this. How to balance.
Yeah, it's like, as someone living in the West myself, Australia, 2.6% Australian population, and living in I guess when I say, West, where self-promotion is very important, especially in this time of social media. And it's not an easy thing. And I would say, with regards to that, how you put yourself out there, I would say it's all about intention. Intention is key. There's an important hadith: actions will be judged according to intentions. But it's not as, it's one word, but it's something that you need to constantly remember and I guess be conscious of. For example, the book that was mentioned, that Ron mentioned, I posted that on social media, right? So according to probably old traditional Sufi sayings, they will be like, what are you doing? You're promoting your work, right? Traditionally. But so it's things that I have to think about as well. I have to evaluate. Am I doing this because of my ego, because I want people to recognize my contribution? Or am I doing it because I want people to benefit from this knowledge, which a lot of people won't have access to, or I feel like I've written in a language that they can understand, and I want that to be I want this book to facilitate them getting closer to God. So you can see how intention is so important. It could be for self-promotion, but it could also be for doing what you want to benefit society. So it's not easy. It's a slippery slope, I would say, where you can try and have the right intention, but that's why you have to keep check all the time of yourself. So when I and in academia, it's the same. You publish something, or you go for I went for a promotion last year. Like in the spiritual world, who goes for Sufi saints must be agonizing in their graves when I say this, what Muslims of today are doing. But in a way, you've got to play the game of your society. If I was to say, no, astaghfirullah, I don't want any promotion, I'll stay at a doctor level where everyone else around me is going to go into associate professor. Now, if that bothers me because I think I'm better than them, it's a problem. But if it bothers me because I think I've got knowledge that I can contribute, if I become an associate professor, which will benefit society, it completely changes my intention. So can you see how why you do things is so important from a spiritual perspective, and why you have to keep check of why you're doing what you're doing is so important.
And I want to add, thank you so much for that. I want to add this. So I was raised in Turkey, and and I went to the Hizmet Movements college. College, high school, right? High school and elementary school, and we get that some of the culture. But I have two kids in here. I know you have kids as well, so I'm not sure how. Okay, being humble is important in this culture as well. Don't get me wrong. In the United States, being cocky is not good in the society. Definitely.
I don't like that. Yeah.
But as far as I see here, there is. If I shouldn't criticize or judge my kids based on Turkish Islam or Muslim understanding in Turkey compared to American Muslim. They will be an American Muslim. They will have their own culture. So any more suggestion on how to raise kids on that way as well?
It's true, like you're so right, because I mean I was born in Australia but Turkish parents, and it's a very different culture, and I had to personalize Islam for my own life. And in relation to spirituality, I think the key thing, the best thing we can do with our kids is ensuring that they have I would say a God-centric life. But how that express that is maybe different, because like you said, being God-centric in Turkey is very different to being God-centric where I am, where I published this book, I applied for this promotion, I got it. I would do it in my society, in my context, because I'm trying to encourage, say, other Muslim women to also go into leadership roles, because we have a leadership issue. There's not enough women, female Muslim leaders in our society. So if I achieve something, I would celebrate it, hoping that it would encourage other people to do it. So my context is very different to, say, someone in Turkey. And so your kids' context where they're growing up is very different to the society that you grew up. I think the key thing is, so our context makes a difference, but what doesn't change is being God-centric. I think that's if they have that foundation, they'll work it out. They'll make that work in their environment. And we wouldn't be able to prescribe to them how that's going to be done, because we don't know. Just like your parents would have had no idea what you're going to be like when you move to the US, and they may not agree with everything you do, but you, I guess, hopefully feel comfortable with the way you're doing things. So with our kids, it's like that. But, and this can be done through, sort of subtle and practical ways as well. When our children achieve things, one thing I would do is acknowledge it, especially when they were younger, but say, you should thank Allah for allowing you to achieve this. You should thank God for this. If you've got this good quality, you should thank God for that. Like helping them to connect what they do and achieve to God. So that's where it's like that God-centric, so that they're not like, I'm the best. And of course, this is mainly when they're teenagers. When they're younger, it's different. Like if they're 5 to 6 years old, they need that confidence. They need to be able to express themselves confidently. And kids, being a child in the US would be different to being a child in Turkey. In Turkey, it was like, you don't know a child is in the room. They're quiet. You don't speak unless you're spoken to. It was that kind of rule. Whereas in US and Australia, if a child's in a room, they take over. They take over the conversation, because that's the society that they live in. And to me, that's normal. And if we do suppress it, then they won't be able to function in the society that they live in, because it wouldn't. Because it would be a cultural clash, I suppose. So yeah, I guess I would say with children or even ourselves, if we have a God-centric approach, we can make our society work for us, and we have to make it work if we want to be impactful in our society.